And yes, let the Monday morning ruckus begin. It is Jay Cleveland Payne. This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. It happens to be August the 1st, 2022, at least as I speak these words, 5:50 in the morning Central Time. I am glad to be a part of your day right here, right now, or maybe in the future if you watch this on replay. This is Monday, so we're making the ruckus a bit more of a ruckus. We are presenting on six instead of three channels, also presenting on Jay Cleveland Payne's uh, Facebook page, Jay Cleveland Payne's or John Payne's Facebook profile, and the Jay Cleveland Payne John Payne LinkedIn page added to the conversations profiles plus the Jay Cleveland Payne LinkedIn page. Something got lost in the mix. Oh, the Jay Cleveland Payne YouTube page. There's a lot going on today. A lot of things going on, new digs here going on, and we're dealing with some little glitches in the technology in a new location. So hopefully you will enjoy what's happening. We're looking to improve things as going. There's a rush to get things together. You, trust me, are just as surprised we're doing this today as I am. So let's get into it right now. We are your tertiary news source, a tertiary news source. You have more than one, but we like to call ourselves are your news side piece, as we are filling in the gaps of some news pieces that you're not getting. Some of those are really big important things. Some of them are things so slight and tiny they're really only good for bar jokes and coffee talk. But that's what we provide here at the Conversation Project, part of the More Better Media universe. To help us out with more things at More Better Media and the Conversation Project, visit our main website. This is theconversationproject.com, and also check out more things that you can do there along the line as well. So as we continue on, long intro, long startup, you can make sure the buttons worked out. A little slow getting up this morning. Let's get to the news now. Starting off with the first story, which is probably the most important story, and in fact, it was the largest ranking story for the weekend. And there's been updates, breaking news, if you will. Nancy Pelosi confirms Asia trip, but does not mention Taiwan. When she arrived in Hawaii over the weekend, that being Nancy Pelosi, on her way to Asia, they announced an itinerary. And she started an itinerary. I believe she's in Singapore at the moment. Now, she released just a few hours ago that she is going to visit Taiwan. The actual timeline's not there, but she's going to Taiwan. She's going to do this because she's Nancy Pelosi and she's going to do this. Now, what does this mean? China does not actually completely own Taiwan. Taiwan operates as an independent democracy under Chinese rule, kind of watch-eyed there, but not ruled by China. And China, seeing that Vladimir Putin can just roll into places and just take things over, is thinking, why can't we just roll into places and take things over? Why are we playing so nice? We shall see how nicely they play. And Nancy Pelosi, as third in line for the presidency, is a big deal because China believes a lot in your rankings, your role, and your status. She being a chance to be the president, although a slight chance, very slight chance, in that role of ranks means something. So someone of that stature showing up for Taiwan is a problem to them. China rocket, speaking of China, debris of the rockets re-entered the atmosphere over Indian Ocean, U.S. Space Command says. So for the past week, we've been watching the arrival of the space junk from China that we've known been out there for a couple months now. A rocket, just debris from a rocket launch is just floating around, just uncontrolled. And China's like, nope, not ours. Y'all deal with it. No one knew literally where this thing was going to fall because it was just completely out of control. It fell over the Indian Ocean over the weekend officially, so we're now safe. Fell into, because people thought this thing was going to land on like a city and demolish folks, and we're going to war for this thing. Luckily, it landed in the middle of the ocean. We are all good at this point. Although there's that Taiwan thing going on. Two things dealing with fights. It's kind of a two and a half, if you will. I'm going to sneak a little thing in there first. Ric Flair wins last match alongside Andrade El, who is his son-in-law, oddly enough. This happened last night in a big Nashville wrestling weekend, starting off with SummerSlam happening on Saturday, which also involved the loser of this match being Jeff Jarrett, who was a special guest referee in the WWE's pay-per-view. That was all sort of chaos going on. We're not going to get into that, the big part of the show, but big deal is Ric Flair is now retired from wrestling again. Oh, from ring work officially. We're going to see how this thing works out. He's 73 years old. He did not look, the Ric Flair of old. I mean, last time he was wrestling in a capacity that was sustained was about 15 years ago, I think, when he was dealing with Revolution over in the or Evolution over in the WWE. Ric Flair finally done. You don't have him to kick around the ring anymore, but looking good in the videos we saw him as he was warming up with Jay Lethal, another one of his opponents, which shows you how the whole this thing is sort of rigged. Big names at the fight just sit in the crowd, including Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, also The Undertaker, Mark Calloway just chilling in the crowds. Many other big time wrestlers, including an appearance by Jerry Lawler on the on some commentary stuff going on. And they went way way back to the TBS days to pull out the commentators for the show. It was amazing. It was actually a mixed show with a lot of the work being done as a Impact Wrestling sort of pay-per-view, if you will, billed as Ric Flair's last match, and some other independents who got a chance to show the scene as well. No WWE type folks on the card because that's a forbidden door thing. If you're into this thing, that's there. Much longer on that than I should have taken, but let's go to this one right here, which needs a little bit of attention because it probably got missed. UFC 277 happened this weekend, and fighter Julianna PeÃ lost, quote, a big chunk of her forehead at that fight, taking on Amanda Nunes and what was called, if I can get the quote proper, a completely dominant title defense. And yeah, she got beat up really, really, really bad. So now we're having a quick discussion on the safety issues for UFC again. Although this is a long ways ago from 30 odd years ago when it was a first a thing. People were breaking arms and breaking legs all the time because it was just guys going there and not having rules. Turning it into something that's a bit more like a super boxing match as opposed to people just breaking arms and breaking rules is a big deal. So if you're a big fan of the MMA, you probably know more about this than most people do. But just remember, a fighter got her face knocked off. A big chunk of her forehead was lost in this fight this weekend. You can take that to your coffee talk and shock Millie while you get ready to play bridge, because this is a good one to shock her with, if you will. Let's keep on moving. Going on to Ivana Trump. She was buried next to the first hole at an exclusive New Jersey golf club owned by her husband, ex-husband, should say, Donald Trump. Not much to really go into in elaboration there. I mean, where would you bury Ivana Trump? She could have, buried her back in her native country. That could happen. Could have buried her in any place across the nation, or the world if we want to. But I don't know. The choice became to bury her at a pretty prestigious place, if you will, even if it is, I'm going to say, a little tacky, but it is. Ivana Trump now laid to rest officially at one of Trump's golf courses in Jersey. That's the way she's going. Mega Millions 1.28 billion jackpot winning ticket sold in Illinois, lottery officials say. Now, the number bumped up a couple times. It was like 118 or so, and then the drawing happened and they said it was 228, and now I think it's 134. The numbers change in these things, but a one lottery ticket won the $1 billion jackpot, and so someone in Illinois is a very, very lucky person. Now, we may never know who this person is because Illinois does have one of the laws, Illinois being a long-time lottery state, one of the laws that allow it to be anonymous for your pickup, not like the newer states, if you will, that are using it not so much as a revenue source because it's always been there, but as a PR thing. So you want to know somebody won, you want to put a face on that somebody, you want to do all you can. Now that becomes a safety issue and all sorts of weirdness stuff going on. But we will probably never know who the winner is. We just hope that we know that the person picks it up, because that's the second part of the story. Do they actually pick up the story, pick up the winnings, bring in their ticket? Because a lot of times these things go, if there's a 3-month window to get these things picked up, these things go to the wire of people forgetting they have tickets. It happens all the time. Ownership of historic Ebony and Jet photo archive transferred to Getty and NMAAHC, National Museum for African American Historical Conservatory, which I'm pretty sure I butchered on that one. But the ownership of the historic Ebony and Jet photo archive, which I say it like it's a brand or something, because they are now under ownership of Getty Images. So that means you can probably own, buy, rent, lease some of the images taken over the years by these historic Black magazines, these historic publications, Ebony and Jet, because these were the stories. These are the publications that carried the stories and issues of Black life when things were a little different. They have an edge to them. They have an art to them. They have a love to them. They have a knowledge to them because they were Black owned. Now they are owned by a big corporation because everything is. But they were telling the stories to Black people the way Black people wanted the stories told and needed them told during a time where the media wasn't exactly kind to what we were doing and the culture. Thank you so much for, I guess, taking this on. We'll see how this actually works out in as a business sense. But all those old pictures aren't just going to a warehouse to be burnt up and die. They're going to be out there in the public and presented in some great ways, I'm sure. A Spanish prosecutor has asked for more than 8 years in prison for Colombian superstar Shakira and a fine of more than $23.3 million in a tax fraud case, Spanish newspaper El Pais reported. Check on the link here that I have in the description to go deeper into the story. This is something we posted very early in the link thing, very early in the weekend, and so it had plenty of time to gather some moss and gain on this one. It probably could have put it there. It was enough to put it in there for Friday as a Friday morning posting there because it was pretty significant, and it was Shakira. But you have to go deeper into the story and see why she is being sued in this one. You would think, why Shakira? Of all the people out there that they want to sue, why this person? Other than, hey, she's got money. Well, hey, she's got money, and there's some issues that do need to be taken care of. Check out the link and read more about it. The Cardinals back down and remove independent study clause from Kyler Murray's contract after controversy. We originally did this as a story with the original part that there was a contract clause that he had to do independent study, watch some game film on his own. And then we put this as a teaser for Friday, and you guys made it into the range for the teaser, which means we're going to quickly talk about this. Kyler Murray, who is one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL, who happens to be a Black quarterback, which means a lot of things and a lot of things, had a clause in his contract with the Cardinals that meant he had to find 3 or 4 hours a week outside of his work time, outside of his own time, essentially giving up a coffee break, if you will, to watch game film, do some independent study of his playbook, get into the book. While first this was kind of and I took this as this isn't really saying they really think he's all that serious about what's going on, but hey, he's good, he'd make it work out. A lot of people said, are you calling the man dumb? Are you calling the man stupid? Is this because he's a Black player? Would you do this to Peyton Manning? And the argument is, well, Peyton Manning will go ahead and do it on his own. But that's not the point. Basically, the double standard and the very big slights that was seen as this clause and the fact that it got leaked to the world, which is the real problem that they see, it got leaked to the world, happened for there. Kyler Murray now has an independent study clause taken out of his contract. We will see if there'll be more backlash going on for things like these. Now, people really do, although I love me some Russell Wilson, do have a right to ridicule him for driving to Broncos training camp in that big ass truck. Yeah, that's a thing. Yes, this thing right here, a little more nuance, a little more undertones of not niceness, a little more kind of color-ish stuff that people need to think about before they think they're thinking about things. We lost a big 3 this weekend, starting off with one that made it into the range that is being Nichelle Nichols, the groundbreaking Star Trek actor who played Lieutenant Uhura, one of the first Black women in space, and having the first interracial kiss. I'm told. I think that is a true fact. Her and James T. Kirk, her and William Shatner had a kiss in an episode, and I think that was the first interracial kiss in television history, I believe. She died this week died Sunday at the age of 89. Also dying on Sunday were Bill Russell, the amazing basketball player, 11 championships won with the Celtics, and also lost this week or Sunday as well, literally 3 on Sunday. Pat Carroll, who was an Emmy-winning actress, and she was the voice of Ursula in the Little Mermaid, the original animated film by Disney. 3 big stars, large stars of the world, leaving in this weekend. Carol in her 90s, Nichols and Russell both in their 80s. We will be missing their art. We will be missing their sports. We'll be missing their commentary, especially for Bill Russell. And we know with Nichelle Nichols, she's been having some serious health issues lately. So we know that she is now getting some rest and not being bothered by folks, which is what we ultimately want when we get to a full life. We are sad. We are sending lots of thoughts, lots of prayers to the families and the fans of these three people specifically. But the one that made it like right in range to make this a good topic, not going off topic, off the rules, is Nichelle Nichols, who of course passed this weekend as well. And finally, chicken wings fall from favor as consumers start to trade down. What does this mean? This is a really confusing, convoluted sentence, but what it says is the cost of chicken wings is going down. Last week, we did a whole thing on Chicken Wing Day and talking about stuff like that. And then to find out that as that was going through, the consumer indexes on things, what we're spending on things, is finding out the big chicken wing inflation, because honestly, a lot of people are just eating wings when the pandemic hit, and so the prices went up and the supply went down, and places like Wingstop started serving thighs because they could get thighs and not wings. Now the wing shortage is not really a big deal. It's just their wings are back. They're figuring out ways to do things, and of course the prices are reflected in the economy of that as well. What does that mean for all of us? That means your chicken wings should cost less, but the problem is things rarely lower in price in a commodity such as this. Gas is something that's different because it goes up and down. It's a real commodity that we pay for in literally a piece by piece. Things like food and bacon, once those things go up, it's really hard for them to go down. That's just how economics works. Let's go to this teaser story right here. Gotta be honest, not a really bland, not a really grand one, but we're gonna go with this because we got to put one out here. Newsmax host accuses the left of trying to corrupt our nation's youth, that is a quote, with twerking epidemic. Eric Bolling, formerly of the Fox channels, now with the Newsmax channel, is yakking, saying that, well, you know what? Twerking is the problem. I may be out of touch, and I'm pretty sure I am, but I'm pretty sure twerking is not the biggest problem going on right now. I don't think twerking is as big of a thing as it was, but that's just me. I could be wrong. I'm probably not. Eric Bolden probably is, but like us, he's got to fill time, and if he's got nothing going on, there's no real conspiracy type stuff to really complain about. And all he's got is twerking. Well, you know what? Hey, I understand, bro. I understand. The problem we have is not with twerking. The problem we have is with, like all of us have to do, just maintaining things, keeping the lights on, making things go. And we can fix this together. You can work on your retirement, work on your investments, and you can help us keep our lights on by going to thisisaconversationproject.com/fundrise. This is one way that I am working to help with my investing portfolio, because I started with this program, with this company at the beginning of this year, literally weeks before I knew there was an affiliate program to get into it. And so it's very simple, it's very easy. I buy into funds for properties, and they are managed by people who manage property funds, just like a general person. People who manage a real estate portfolio, these people manage a portfolio for you. You buy shares into the funds and you make dividends off of it. That's how it works. I have made about 6% increase in the 7 months that we've had a chance of doing this. It was a much higher interest rate earlier on. So right now we're seeing a little bit of the housing bubbling things up. So it's slowing things down. But I've made overall year to date 6% off my portfolio from Fundrise. Now, let me tell you, I'm not throwing big money at this. This is not Vegas money going on, but it is a significant amount for me and enough to see actual dividends happening in this thing. Check them out. They will take good care of you. By the way, your first 30 days of funds are free. The advisor fee that they pay for you to be a part of it are waived for 30 days. So your first 30 days of money is basically free. And they also are giving up extra shares to get you incentivized into this one. We get a little bit because we are bringing you in as affiliates. So check them out at thisisaconversationproject.com/fundrise and watch your funds rise. I don't think that's their actual slogan, but it just kind of popped in my head. I think it's sketchy though. Maybe I should charge them for that. We shall see. we shall see. Let's move on to websites of note, starting off with this is theconversationproject.com, where you can find this is a conversation project, and the conversation project is the actual name. It's this part because the conversation project is always taken, and things you might have heard, plus other things, including your welcome and some other programs that now that we have a sort of bigger, badder, better set, we're going to see about getting more things done that we promise going forward. We're going to do our best for that. Also, our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. The reason why we talk about these stories is you actually voted them up, if you will. If you engage with them on Facebook, at the website or our page, this is the Conversation Project, and Twitter at th_conversation. The more you engage in a story, the higher score it gets up. We get over 90 stories in the range from Friday at midnight to this morning at 5 a.m. And from those stories, we get the scores and engagement. We rank them from top to bottom, and we take the top 30 stories and whittle them down to less. So we gave you 11 stories of the top 30 stories to talk about in your Monday morning coffee chat. On Tuesday through Friday, we don't have 90 stories. We have about 30 stories in a day. We're going to take from top 15, top half, and give you 5 to 9 stories. We have a hard time cut them down some days. You'll see about that in a moment. But check them out. Be in the feeds. Follow those feeds, and so you can make sure you're a part of this thing. Now, we're also on the TikTok. We're not doing very much there, but we're doing what we can at The Conversation Project. And if you're watching this on J. Cleveland Payne's YouTube page, J. Cleveland Payne's Facebook profile, or J. Cleveland Payne's LinkedIn page, we want to see this thing 5 days a week. You're not going to see it unless you follow us on The Conversation's own YouTube page or its own stuff. So go to youtube.com/The Conversation Project and follow us there. Subscribe to that channel and make sure you get notifications because we go live at about 5:50 a.m. every single weekday morning, and we want you to hear the little ding. I guess it doesn't really do a little ding in real life, but you hear the notifications as they come up. It gets a little longer on Monday because we do the extra stuff, so that's what's happening. We also extended it because I just could not wipe out the birthdays. On normal cases, it's only 3, but I just could not get away without this one. August 1st birthdays, I don't know if it's more celebration of the new digs or just because I'm just slidey. Starting off with 2 big hip-hop legends of my youth, of my day, people that inspired me to go out there and do stuff. Chuck D of Public Enemy, 62 years old today, and Coolio, 59 years old today. These guys seemed so much larger than life and so much older back when I was a kid. Now that I seem much older as not being a kid, they seem that much even older, or technically not quite as old, but they're in the range. These are pioneers of hip-hop, pioneers of music, pioneers of art that hopefully you enjoy. Chuck D, 62 of Public Enemy, still out there fighting the power, if you will, and Coolio as well. Tempest Bledsoe from Cosby Show fame and other acting stuff, still a fairly active producer and actor here or there. 49 years old today. Her being 49 makes me feel kind of oldish, if you will, because she seemed like she was such a kid, yet she is older than I was and still older than I am. And there you go. She's almost 50 years old and going forward. And Jason Momoa, who has both the honor of just being a super cool guy and 2, maybe still being married to Tempest Bledsoe's TV sister, Lisa Bonet. Maybe not. Of course, because of that, maybe still semi-married to Lisa Bonet's former husband, Lenny Kravitz, because that's a thing too. But you could not miss out on Aquaman, Jason Momoa, 43 years old on the day. Happy birthday to all those folks. And since we've got one superhero in the birthdays, let's celebrate Spider-Man Day. Why? I don't know, but it's Spider-Man Day. So go out there and sing the Spider-Man theme songs. The good one, Spider-Man, Nobody Knows Who You Are. The one from the Electric Company is kind of cool too as well. And of course, there's that one, the really cool Fox animated one they had back, when I was still, in age of watching those things, that basically had no words, just said Spider-Man, Spider-Man over and over in this weird gravelly electronic voice. But that was one of the better Spider-Man cartoons going through. Now I'm rambling. Love me some Spider-Man. Spider-Man in my top 3, which includes Thor and Batman. Depending on what's going on and who's in the media or who's the tops. But Thor was tops for a long time. Batman, because we could all be Batman. And Spider-Man, because he's a regular dude just like you and I. Researchers said the biggest regrets involved relationships So this is some research that came out, and I actually, for some reason, left all the research things in there because it was a really big read. University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and Northwestern University studied regrets and found are more common involved romance slash lost love at 18%, then family at 16%, education at 13, career at 12, finance at 10, parenting at 9, and health at 6. Regrets about our relationships 43% when you combine romance, family, and parenting. Not sure why I'm reading that so slow. Far exceed working life concerns. So, what this is, as we're rolling very, very long on time here, is a situation where it's a reminder that time is short. We lost three great legends this weekend who had nice long runs in life, but that's not guaranteed. Last weekend, I lost a very good friend that I had been kind of honestly uh, just delaying it in reconnecting with for something over a really silly idea that happened a few months prior. So I've been kind of backing away from the crew, if you will. If I swallowed my pride and just sucked it up and went with it, I would have talked to him before his passing, and which was sudden and shocked a lot of people. Time is fleeting, time is short, as you see from this survey, from this research. The loves of your life, the romance, if you will, you can call that, you can lump in friends and family if you want to, is a big deal of people regretting that things that didn't do. So, yes, I did not marry the one that I thought was going to be there, but I married someone who is just as great and probably better in the actual scheme of things. So I didn't lose out of that. I have a family. It may not be the one that I dreamed of, back in the day, but my family is who it is and who they are, and I love them regardless. Going on that, there are a lot of other things that I do. I'm a person that if I want to do something, I try it until I fail enough times that it's that painful, which takes a lot of time. So let's have less regrets. This study had rankings of family, education, career, finance, parenting, health. 43% of the things people regret most are relationships when they get older. Fix that. Don't have those regrets. Do something about it right now. Call a friend today. Send a text to somebody who hadn't sent a text to in a long time. Give someone who's not expecting a hug a hug. Not me. Don't hug me. And just be out there and make sure that your regrets, you will have a few, but they will be as few as possible. Okay, that's it. What do you think about the inaugural shot here in the new digs? It's Friday, July 27th, 29th. It's actually not for July. There you go. We missed the closing title slide. Something had to go wrong. It was just way too good. Something had to kind of flip out. Let's do this one instead. Let's call it today, Monday, August the 1st, 2022. The new studio, the new location, the new places, a lot of things going on, new acoustics, if you will, which we'll be dealing with. I will see or hear how this works out on the replay, and we'll kind of go what's going on. Hopefully you enjoyed the news, because that's what's important. Hopefully you like the digs, because that's important. We have some other studio things popping up that we'll play around with as well. And hopefully you will let us know. You can follow us in the feeds on Facebook and Twitter and let us know what stories to talk about for tomorrow. You can reply in this email with things you want us to do, things you want us to not do, and we'll do our best to accommodate. And you can just go to our main website, thisisaconversationproject.com, and help out a brother. You can go to the sponsorship page and see other sponsors that will give us affiliate income. You can be a partner. You can send us some money, literally send us some money directly. Go to this. We will shout you out in our monthly reports. That will let you know what's going on, how things are going, and just stick around. Follow us on where we ask you to follow us, whatever your best place to follow. Just make sure you get us on 5 days a week by following us on either Facebook, my J. Clifton Payne Facebook page has it as well, and of course, the Conversation Project's YouTube page. With that, let's get on to it. Let's get ready for Eric Boland to call the twerking issue an issue, because he did, and other great stories that are going to happen throughout the day. We'll keep an eye on some of them. You let us know which ones are good enough to talk about, and we will tell the world what stories to start their day off with tomorrow, here on Things You Might Not Have Heard from the Conversation Project, from More Better Media, LLC.